Commander Vexhai stood on the observation deck of Orbital Station Dominion, his forearms crossed behind his back as he watched Earth spin slowly below. The blue planet looked nothing like it had 300 years ago when his people first took control. Where green forests once covered the land, tall crystal towers now reached toward the sky. The oceans glowed with strange blue light from the algae farms that fed the Zephyrian Collective's empire. Earth was now a prison world. Thousands of alien criminals and rebels lived on its surface, mining crystals and growing food for their masters. Vexhai liked it this way. The planet that once belonged to humans now served the greater good of the galaxy. His peaceful morning ended when alarm bells started ringing throughout the station. A young officer with green scales ran up to him, breathing hard. "Commander, we have a problem," the officer said. "Long-range sensors are picking up something big coming from outside the galaxy." Vexhai walked quickly to the main control room. On the giant screen, he could see dots of light moving toward their solar system. The computer was trying to count them, but the numbers kept growing. 100 ships. 200. 500. The count kept rising. "What kind of ships are those?" Vexhai asked. "Are they from the core worlds?" The officer shook his head. "No, sir. The computer doesn't recognize them. They're not in any of our databases. And, sir, they're moving really fast. Faster than should be possible." Vexhai felt a cold feeling in his stomach. In his 50 years of service, he had never seen ships move like that. They seemed to bend space around them as they traveled. "How long until they reach us?" "At their current speed, maybe 6 hours. Send a message to the Collective. Tell them we need reinforcements immediately." Vexhai turned to another officer. "And get me everything we have on file about the humans who used to live here." The officer looked confused. "Sir, but the humans left over 300 years ago. They scattered across the galaxy when we arrived. Most of them probably died in deep space." Before Vexhai could answer, every screen in the control room lit up with the same image. It showed a woman's face. She had dark skin and short gray hair. Her eyes were strange. They seemed to glow with their own light. When she spoke, her voice was calm but scary. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Expeditionary Force. We have returned to reclaim our home. You have exactly 1 hour to leave Earth and never come back. If you refuse, we will destroy every ship and station in this system. This is your only warning." The message ended, leaving the control room in complete silence. Vexhai stared at the empty screen. Humans, but that was impossible. His people had records showing that humans barely understood space travel when they left Earth. They were weak, soft creatures who lived short lives. How could they pose any threat to the mighty Zephyrian Collective? "Send a response," Vexhai ordered. "Tell them that Earth belongs to the Collective now. If they want to fight, they'll get one." As his communication officer sent the message, Vexhai called up the old files about humans. The pictures showed creatures that looked much smaller and weaker than the woman in the transmission. Their skin was soft, they had only 2 arms, and they couldn't even breathe in most atmospheres without special equipment. But as he read more, something worried him. The reports mentioned that humans were very good at adapting. They could learn new things quickly and survive in places that killed other species. They also had something the reports called pack loyalty. They would fight to the death to protect each other. "Sir," the sensor officer called out. "The human ships are getting closer. We're getting better readings now. These ships, they're huge. Some of them are bigger than our battle cruisers. And they're not just moving fast. They're doing things to space that our computers can't understand." Vexhai watched the sensor data flow across his screen. The human ships were indeed massive, but they looked wrong somehow. Their hulls were covered in scars and strange markings. They didn't look like any ships he had ever seen. They looked like they had been traveling through hell itself. "Get me Captain Zorthak on the battle cruiser Sword of Justice," Vexhai ordered. "If these humans want to fight, we'll show them what 300 years of galactic military science can do." The screen showed Captain Zorthak, a fierce warrior with sharp teeth and glowing red eyes. "Commander, my ship is ready for battle. These primitive humans made a big mistake coming back here." "Good. Take your squadron and engage the lead ships. Show them what happens when they challenge the Collective." Vexhai watched as 12 Zephyrian warships moved away from the station toward the approaching human fleet. The Sword of Justice was the pride of the Collective's navy, armed with plasma cannons that could melt through solid rock and energy shields that could stop anything. On his screen, he could see the first human ships clearly now. They were dark and angular, covered in what looked like battle damage. But as he watched, something impossible happened. One of the human ships simply disappeared. Then it reappeared right next to the Sword of Justice. What just happened? Vexai shouted. I don't know, sir. The ship just moved, like it jumped through space without using any kind of drive we can detect. On the communication channel, Captain Zorthak's voice was full of confusion. Commander, the human ship is right next to us, but our weapons can't lock onto it. It's like it's not completely here. Then the human ship fired, but it didn't shoot energy beams or missiles. Instead, space itself seemed to twist around the Sword of Justice. The massive battlecruiser crumpled like paper being squeezed in a giant fist. In 3 seconds, the pride of the collective's fleet was gone. The other 11 ships suffered the same fate. One by one, they were destroyed by weapons that seemed to break the laws of physics. Some ships were torn apart by invisible forces. Others simply vanished as if they had never existed. Get all our ships back to the station, Vexai ordered, his voice shaking, and send an emergency message to the collective. Tell them the humans are back. And they're not the same species that left 300 years ago. As the human fleet moved closer to Earth, Vexai realized that everything had changed. The humans hadn't just survived their exile in deep space. They had become something new. Something powerful. Something that could destroy the greatest ships in the galaxy without even slowing down. He looked down at Earth, spinning peacefully below. Soon the humans would be home, and there was nothing he could do to stop them. The blue planet that had been a prison for so long was about to become free again. But Vexai had a feeling that freedom would come at a terrible price for everyone who had taken it away. Dr. Elena Vasquez sat in her laboratory aboard the flagship Prometheus, watching Earth grow larger on the viewing screen. At 347 years old, she was one of the few people left who remembered the day humans left their home planet. Advanced medical technology kept her alive and healthy, but her memories of that terrible day were still clear. She activated her personal recording device and began to speak. Personal log, Dr. Elena Vasquez, day 127,891 of the Great Journey. We can see Earth now. It looks so different from when we left. The Zephyrians have covered our beautiful world with their ugly crystal towers, but soon we'll make it green again. Elena remembered the day the Zephyrian collective arrived at Earth. She had been a young scientist then, working on humanity's first faster-than-light drive. The aliens came with huge ships and made their demands simple. Submit to collective rule or be destroyed. Most humans wanted to fight. But Elena and the other scientists had a different idea. Why fight for a single planet when they could explore the entire universe? They proposed something that had never been tried before. Exile to the void between galaxies, where the laws of physics worked differently. The collective thought we were running away in fear, Elena said to her recording. They didn't understand that humans have always been explorers. We chose to leave not because we were weak, but because we were brave enough to try something impossible. The journey to the void had taken 50 years. During that time, human ships traveled further from home than any species had ever gone. They left the Milky Way galaxy behind and entered the empty space between star systems, where strange forces twisted reality itself. In that cosmic wilderness, amazing things happened. Human scientists made discoveries that changed everything they knew about the universe. They learned to control gravity like a tool. They found ways to step between different dimensions. They discovered how to pull energy directly from the quantum vacuum that filled all space. But the most incredible changes happened to the humans themselves. Children born in the void developed abilities that seemed like magic. They could navigate through hyperspace using only their minds. They could see 11 dimensions at once. Their brains worked so fast they could solve impossible math problems in seconds. Elena looked at her own hands as she spoke. They looked normal, but she knew better. Her bones were now reinforced with materials stronger than diamond. Her nervous system had been enhanced with quantum processors that let her think at superhuman speeds. She could survive in space without a suit and see across multiple spectrums of light at the same time. We didn't just adapt to the void, she said. We transcended our old limitations. Every human alive today is something our ancestors could never have imagined. On the viewing screen, she could see the first battle beginning. Zephyrian patrol ships were moving to intercept the human fleet. Elena felt sorry for them. They had no idea what they were facing. Admiral Sarah Chen stood 7 feet tall and weighed 400 pounds but moved with perfect grace. Her enhanced bones could withstand forces that would crush normal humans. Her eyes could track 1,000 objects at once, and her mind could calculate battle strategies faster than any computer. "Admiral," Elena said over the communication system, "the Zephyrian ships are approaching." "I see them, Doctor. 12 vessels. Outdated plasma weapons, standard energy shields. They'll be gone in 30 seconds. Elena watched as the human ships engaged the enemy. It wasn't really a battle. The Zephyrian vessels fired their plasma cannons, but the energy beams passed harmlessly through the human ships. The humans had learned to phase their matter between dimensions, making them untouchable. When the human ships fired back, they didn't use normal weapons. Instead, they created gravitational fields that twisted space itself. The Zephyrian ships were crushed by forces they couldn't understand or defend against. "Targets eliminated," Admiral Chen reported, proceeding to Earth orbit. Elena felt a mix of sadness and pride as she watched the enemy ships die. These aliens had stolen humanity's home and enslaved other species for 300 years. They deserved what was coming. But seeing such destruction still hurt her heart. She walked to another part of her laboratory where she kept samples of human DNA from before the Exodus. Compared to modern human genetic material, the old samples looked primitive. 3 centuries in the void had accelerated human evolution by millions of years. "The most advanced of us barely look human anymore," Elena said to her recording. "Captain Torres can exist in 4 dimensions at once. Lieutenant Kim has transcended physical form entirely. She's basically a living equation that can take solid shape when needed. Commander Jackson's nervous system operates partially outside normal space-time. But evolution came with a price. Many of the enhanced humans struggled to connect with their original nature. They had gained incredible power but lost some of their humanity. Some could no longer feel simple emotions like joy or love. Others had trouble remembering what it felt like to be mortal. Elena's thoughts were interrupted by an alert from the ship's communication system. "Dr. Vasquez, please report to Medical Bay 7. We have casualties from the advanced scouts." She hurried through the ship's corridors, which bent and twisted in ways that would have been impossible on an old human vessel. The Prometheus existed partially in normal space and partially in hyperspace, allowing it to be much larger inside than outside. In the medical bay, she found 3 human soldiers who had been injured during reconnaissance missions to Earth's surface. Their wounds were healing rapidly thanks to their enhanced biology, but they were suffering from something else. "Doctor," one of the soldiers said, "I went down to the planet's surface to scout enemy positions. But when I saw Earth's forests, I started crying and couldn't stop. I haven't felt that kind of emotion in 50 years, Elena nodded sadly. This was happening to many of the enhanced humans as they approached Earth. Being near their home planet was awakening old memories and feelings they had thought were gone. Forever. "It's normal," she told the soldier. "Part of you is remembering what it was like to be baseline human. The enhancement process suppressed some of your emotional responses to help you survive in the void. But Earth is calling to the part of you that never changed." As Elena treated the soldiers, she thought about the challenge ahead. Retaking Earth would be easy. The collective's weapons were no match for human technology. But rebuilding human civilization would be much harder. How do you create a society for people who have evolved beyond the need for traditional human connections? She looked out the window at Earth spinning slowly in space. The planet that had given birth to humanity would soon witness its children's return. But the humans coming home were not the same species that had left. They were something new, something powerful, something that might be too advanced for their own good. "We're almost home," Elena whispered. "But I wonder if home will recognize us when we get there." The real battle for Earth began 3 days after the first human ships entered orbit. Commander Vexhai watched from his station as massive alien fleets arrived from across the galaxy. The Zephyrian Collective had called for help, and their allies were answering. Huge insect-like ships belonging to the Hive Queens dropped out of hyperspace first. Their biometal hulls crawled with living weapons that could adapt to any threat. Next came the crystal dreadnoughts of the Vorthon Empire, each one the size of a small moon and armed with reality-bending cannons. Finally, the biomechanical destroyers of the Krek Syndicate appeared. Their ships grown rather than built, able to heal damage and evolve new weapons during battle. "Over 3,000 ships," Vexhai's sensor officer reported. "This is the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history." "Good," Vexhai said, though his voice shook slightly. These humans may have strange powers, but they can't fight the entire galaxy. On Earth's surface, the prisoners who had been trapped there for decades watched the sky fill with warships. Jalaxian rebels with crystal skin stood next to furry morphic outcasts and tall ethereal peacekeepers. All of them had been sent to Earth for opposing the collective in some way. Now they waited to see what would happen when the humans came down from space. Crixtal, a Jalaxian who had been on Earth for 20 years, pointed at the strange lights moving across the sky. "I've never seen ships like those," she said to her friend Blurhop, a morphic who could change his body shape at will. "They don't move like normal spacecraft. The humans are different now," Blurhop replied, his voice making strange clicking sounds. "My people have legends about them. They say humans who go into the void between galaxies come back changed." As they watched, small ships began falling from the sky like burning stars, but these weren't crash landings. The human landing craft were designed to look like meteors to fool enemy sensors. When they hit the ground, armored doors opened and human soldiers stepped out. The first thing that shocked the alien prisoners was how the humans looked. They were much taller and stronger than the old records showed. Their skin seemed to shimmer with its own light and their eyes glowed like stars. They moved with perfect coordination, as if they shared one mind. Captain Marcus Webb led the first assault team toward the collective's main control facility. His squad of 12 soldiers walked through the crystal forest that surrounded the complex, their enhanced bodies adapting automatically to Earth's atmosphere. "Remember," Webb told his team through their mental link, "we're here to liberate, not destroy. Try to save as many prisoners as possible." The facility was protected by the collective's best defenses: automated guns that could track targets moving at light speed, force fields that could stop starship weapons, robot guards with plasma weapons and armor made from collapsed matter. None of it mattered. Webb soldiers didn't wear armor because their skin could change its molecular structure to deflect energy weapons. They didn't carry guns because they could create focused gravity fields that crushed enemies from inside out. When the automated defenses opened fire, the humans simply stepped between dimensions, letting the deadly beams pass through empty space. The robot guards fired everything they had, but the humans moved like ghosts. One soldier named Torres existed in 4 dimensions at once, making it impossible to target her. Another soldier called Kim had transcended physical form completely. She was pure energy that could take solid shape when needed. But the most impressive was Webb himself. He had learned to phase between different layers of reality. When he reached the facility's main wall, he didn't climb over it or blast through it. He simply walked through it as if it wasn't there. Inside the control center, Commander Vexhai was waiting with his best warriors. 20 Zephyrian guards with 4 arms each, moving faster than normal eyes could follow. Their plasma rifles could melt through starship hulls, and their energy shields could stop antimatter bombs. Webb materialized in the center of the room like a ghost becoming solid. The Zephyrians opened fire immediately, filling the air with deadly energy beams. But Webb existed in multiple phases of reality at the same time. The weapons hit empty air while he moved through solid matter. When Webb struck back, it was with the force of a collapsing star channeled through his enhanced body. His first punch sent Vexhai flying across the room, his armor cracked and smoking. The other guards attacked together, but Webb moved between them like flowing water, each strike powerful enough to shatter crystal. The battle lasted less than 2 minutes. When it was over, Vexhai lay broken on the floor, his forearms twisted at impossible angles. Webb stood over him, not even breathing hard. "Your empire is finished," Webb said calmly. "Tell your people to leave Earth peacefully and we might let some of you live." But Vexhai just laughed, blood running from his mouth. "You think this is over? 3,000 ships are waiting in orbit. Even you can't fight the entire galaxy." Webb smiled, and for a moment his enhanced features looked almost human again. "Watch us." In space above Earth, the real battle was beginning. The combined alien fleet moved forward in perfect formation, their weapons charging for a massive coordinated strike. Admiral Chen watched them approach from the bridge of the Prometheus. 3,000 ships, her tactical officer reported. Combined firepower could glass an entire planet. "Then it's a good thing we're not fighting on a planet," Chen replied. "Signal all ships. Operation Homecoming is now active." What happened next would be talked about in legends for thousands of years. The human fleet didn't charge forward to meet the enemy. Instead, they simply disappeared. One moment they were there, the next moment empty space. The alien fleet fired at nothing, their massive weapons lighting up the void with deadly energy. But there were no targets to hit. The humans had phased their entire fleet into hyperspace, existing in the same location but in a different dimension. Then the humans began their counterattack. They didn't fire normal weapons. Instead, they reached across dimensional barriers and grabbed enemy ships with gravity fields. Huge hive vessels were crushed like eggs. Crystal dreadnoughts shattered into a million pieces. Biomechanical destroyers were torn apart at the molecular level. Some human ships created miniature black holes that swallowed entire squadrons. Others twisted space-time to age enemy vessels into dust in seconds. The most advanced human vessels simply erased their targets from reality, making it so they had never existed at all. The battle lasted 6 hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. By the end, the space around Earth was filled with debris from 3,000 destroyed ships. Only a few dozen alien vessels escaped, racing back to their homeworlds with news of humanity's impossible power. On Earth's surface, the alien prisoners watched the lights in the sky fade away. They knew their long captivity was finally over. The humans had come home, and they were indeed too strong to stop. But as liberation ships landed to pick up the freed prisoners, many of them wondered what would come next. The humans were clearly the most powerful species in the galaxy now. Would they become new masters, or would they offer something different? Krixtal and Blurhop climbed aboard a human rescue ship, still amazed by everything they had seen. The human crew treated them gently, offering food and medical care. But there was something different about these humans, something that went beyond their physical enhancements. "They're not like the collective," Krixtal whispered to her friend. "They actually care about us." As the ship lifted off from Earth's surface, carrying them toward freedom, both aliens realized that something fundamental had changed in the galaxy. The age of the collective was over. The age of humanity had begun. News of the human victory spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In the great halls of the Galactic Senate on Centauri Prime, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered in emergency session. The holographic displays showed the same impossible images over and over. 3,000 of the galaxy's most advanced warships destroyed in 6 hours by a fleet of humans. Senator Kelnara of the Aquatic Consortium stood at the speaking platform, her gills fluttering with nervousness. "Honored colleagues, we must face the truth. Humanity has returned, and they possess power beyond our understanding. The question now is, what do we do about it?" The Senate chamber erupted in angry voices. Some representatives called for immediate surrender. Others demanded a massive military buildup to fight the humans. A few suggested fleeing to other galaxies entirely. High Senator Morthak, an ancient being whose species had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, raised his 6 arms for silence. "The humans destroyed the collective's fleet without losing a single ship," he said in his deep, gravelly voice. "They can manipulate space and time itself. How do you fight an enemy that can erase you from existence?" While the galaxy's leaders argued about humanity's threat, Admiral Chen faced a very different problem aboard the Prometheus. The human enhancement process that gave them incredible power was slowly destroying what made them human in the first place. She stood in the medical bay, watching Dr. Vasquez examine Lieutenant Commander Zara Okafor. Zara had volunteered for the most extreme enhancements, allowing her mind to interface directly with quantum computing systems. She could process information faster than any artificial intelligence and solve mathematical problems that would take normal computers centuries. But the cost was becoming clear. Zara lay on the medical table, her eyes staring at nothing. Her enhanced brain was so far beyond normal human thought that she was losing the ability to connect with basic human experiences. "Zara," Dr. Vasquez said gently, "can you tell me what you had for breakfast this morning?" Zara's voice was flat and emotionless. "Food is a biological requirement for maintaining cellular function. I consumed 847 calories of optimized nutrition, but I cannot remember taste. I know the molecular structure of everything I ate, but I cannot remember what any of it felt like in my mouth." Chen felt her heart break a little. Zara had been one of her best friends before the enhancements. They used to laugh together, share stories, dream about the day they would return to Earth. Now Zara could calculate the position of every star in the galaxy, but she couldn't remember what laughter sounded like. "Doctor," Chen said quietly, "how many others are experiencing this?" Dr. Vasquez looked at her tablet, scrolling through medical records. About 30% of our most enhanced personnel are showing signs of disconnection from baseline human emotions. They're becoming living computers instead of people. Chen walked to the viewing window and looked down at Earth. The planet was healing rapidly now that the collective's crystal towers had been removed. Human terraforming technology was restoring the forests and cleaning the oceans. But the humans who had come home were no longer the same species that had left. Her thoughts were interrupted by an alert from the communication system. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's from the alien prisoners we liberated. Put it through, Chen ordered. The screen showed Krixtal, the Galaxian rebel with crystal skin. Behind her stood dozens of other freed prisoners from many different species. Admiral Chen, we want to thank you for freeing us from the collective. But we also want to offer our help. Chen was surprised. Your help with what? We've been watching your people, Krixtal said. We can see that your enhancements are causing problems. Some of your soldiers look lost, like they can't remember how to be happy. My people have experience with this kind of thing. What do you mean? A morphic shapeshifter stepped forward, his body flowing like liquid as he changed forms. My species went through something similar 5,000 years ago. We enhanced ourselves so much that we forgot our original nature. It took us centuries to find balance between power and identity. Chen felt a spark of hope. And you learned how to fix it? Not fix, the morphic said, but adapt. You don't have to choose between being powerful and being human. You can be both, but it requires help from others who understand different ways of thinking. Over the following weeks, something amazing began to happen. The freed alien prisoners chose not to leave Earth. Instead, they stayed to work with the humans, sharing their knowledge and experiences. The Galaxians, with their crystal biology, proved remarkably good at interfacing with human quantum technology. The Morphics helped enhanced humans learn to change between different states of consciousness while keeping their core identity. Captain, Webb found himself working closely with a group of ethereal healers who specialized in mental wellness. They taught him meditation techniques that helped him stay connected to his human emotions even while using his enhanced abilities. The key, explained Silandra, an ethereal with glowing white skin, is not to suppress your original nature but to expand it. You are not just an enhanced human or just a baseline human. You are both, and that makes you stronger than either alone. Dr. Vasquez was fascinated by what she observed. Her research showed that humans working with other species were maintaining better emotional balance than those who worked alone. The alien perspectives helped humans remember aspects of themselves that pure enhancement had made them forget. But there was another problem developing. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy about panic and chaos. Some worlds were surrendering immediately when they heard humans might be coming. Others were building massive defenses or trying to hide their planets behind energy fields. They're terrified of us, Chen said during a command meeting. Half the galaxy thinks we're going to conquer everyone just like the collective did. Can you blame them? Asked Commander Jackson, whose nervous system operated partially outside normal spacetime. We destroyed 3,000 ships without breaking a sweat. From their perspective, we're unstoppable monsters. Dr. Vasquez had been thinking about this problem for days. Maybe it's time to show them that we're different. The collective ruled through fear and force. We could rule through cooperation and choice. Chen nodded slowly. What are you suggesting? We make an offer to the galaxy. Free access to our enhancement technologies, but only for species that want them. Voluntary evolution instead of forced submission. And we make it clear that enhanced beings don't have to give up their original nature. The idea was radical. No galactic power had ever offered to share their most advanced technologies freely. But as Chen looked around the room at her officers, many of whom were struggling with their own identity issues, she realized it might be the only way forward. We came back to Earth to reclaim our home, she said. But maybe what we really need to reclaim is our humanity. And maybe the best way to do that is to help others find their own path to evolution. Lieutenant Commander Torres, who existed in 4 dimensions simultaneously, spoke up. The aliens on Earth's surface have been helping us remember who we are. Maybe we can return the favor for the rest of the galaxy. Chen made her decision. Prepare a galactic broadcast. It's time to tell everyone what humanity really stands for. As preparations began for the most important speech in galactic history, Chen looked out at Earth one more time. The planet was beautiful again, but it was no longer just a human world. It was becoming something new, a place where different species could work together to become more than they ever could alone. The humans had returned to Earth too strong to stop. But their greatest strength might not be their power. It might be their willingness to share that power with others. The final test of humanity's power came not from the galaxy's armies, but from its ultimate weapon. Deep in the Andromeda sector, the collective's last desperate leaders activated a device that had been hidden for over 1,000,000 years. The reality bomb was a weapon left behind by an ancient species that had once ruled the entire universe. Admiral Chen watched the readings on her screen with growing concern. The weapon was housed inside a moon-sized ship that had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. Energy readings showed it was drawing power from the quantum vacuum itself, building toward something that could destroy not just Earth, but entire sectors of space. "Admiral," Dr. Vasquez said from her station, "if that weapon fires, it won't just kill us. It will create a cascade effect that makes this whole region of space uninhabitable. Billions of innocent beings will die." Chen looked around the bridge at her officers. Many of them had transcended normal human existence so completely that they barely looked human anymore. Lieutenant Kim existed mostly as organized energy patterns. Commander Torres phased between 4 dimensions simultaneously. Captain Webb could step outside of time itself. "Can we stop it?" Chen asked. "Not with conventional weapons," Dr. Vasquez replied. "The ship exists in a quantum-locked state. Our regular attacks would just pass through it harmlessly." Chen nodded slowly. She had known this day might come. "Signal all ships. Prepare for Operation Unity." What happened next had never been attempted before. The most transcended humans in the fleet, those who had evolved beyond physical existence, made the ultimate sacrifice. They left their ships and flew through space as pure energy, merging with the reality bomb itself. The ancient weapon had been designed to erase reality. But when the evolved humans merged with it, they reversed its function. Instead of destroying existence, it became a tool of creation and healing. The wave of energy that spread out from the device didn't bring death. It brought life. Worlds that had been strip-mined by the collective for centuries suddenly bloomed with new forests. Species that had been genetically enslaved found their original forms restored. Planets that had been poisoned by industrial waste became clean and healthy again. The transformation spread outward from Earth like ripples in a pond. Everywhere the wave touched, the rigid hierarchy that had controlled the galaxy for millennia began to dissolve. Freed beings discovered new possibilities they had never imagined. On Earth, Admiral Chen stood in what had once been the collective's main prison compound. Now it was a garden where flowers from 100 different worlds grew together in impossible beauty. The quantum energy from the reality bomb had transformed the entire planet into something that could support any form of life. Representatives from thousands of worlds had come to Earth to see the transformation for themselves. Many were afraid at first, expecting the humans to demand their submission. Instead, they found something they had never experienced before: choice. Chen activated the planetary communication system, her voice reaching every inhabited world in the galaxy. "People of the galaxy, my name is Sarah Chen. I speak for humanity, but more importantly, I speak for the idea that every intelligent being should have the right to choose their own destiny." She paused, looking out at the crowd of alien representatives who had gathered in the garden. Former prisoners worked alongside former guards, all of them helping to build something new. For too long, this galaxy has been ruled by fear and force. The strong dominated the weak, and evolution was something imposed from above rather than chosen from within. We offer you a different path. On the screens throughout the galaxy, images showed the transformation taking place on Earth. Humans worked alongside Galaxians, Morphics, Ethereals, and dozens of other species. But more importantly, they were all changing, evolving together in ways that enhanced their unique natures rather than replacing them. We freely share our enhancement technologies with any species that wants them, but these changes will be voluntary, reversible, and designed to make you more yourselves, not less. Some of you may choose to merge with technology to become living starships that can explore the universe. Others may develop collective consciousness while keeping individual identity. Still others may choose to remain exactly as you are, finding strength in your natural forms. A Zephyrian representative, one of the few survivors of the war, stepped forward. His name was Kexai, and he was Vexai's younger brother. "Human Admiral, how do we know you won't become like the collective? Power corrupts all who hold it. Chen smiled, and for a moment her enhanced features looked completely human. Because we learned something during our exile that the collective never understood. True strength doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from helping others become strong themselves. She gestured to Dr. Vasquez, who had been working with a team of Morphic scientists. Dr. Vasquez, show them what we've discovered. The elderly scientist stepped forward, her quantum consciousness flickering between physical and energy forms. Our research shows that species develop best when they work together with others who think differently. Humans alone are powerful, but humans working with Galaxians, Morphics, Ethereals, and others are something amazing. Over the following months, the transformation accelerated. Some species chose dramatic enhancements, becoming beings of pure energy who could travel between stars instantly. Others made smaller changes, improving their natural abilities while staying true to their original forms. The Hive Queens, former enemies of humanity, chose to merge their collective consciousness with quantum computing networks, becoming vast intelligences that could coordinate the resources of entire star systems. But they used this power to help smaller species develop, rather than to dominate them. The Vorthons enhanced their crystal bodies to become living art forms that could create beauty on a planetary scale. Their worlds became gardens of light and music that welcomed visitors from across the galaxy. Even some Zephyrians chose enhancement, working with human scientists to develop new forms that kept their four-armed bodies, but added abilities to phase between dimensions. 50 years later, Dr. Vasquez stood in the same garden where Chen had made her historic speech. She existed now mostly as a quantum consciousness, but she could still take physical form when she wanted to remember what it felt like to have a body. Children played in the restored oceans of Earth. Human children, alien children, and hybrid children whose very existence showed how far the galaxy had come. Some of the children could swim through multiple dimensions at once. Others communicated through telepathic music that crossed all species barriers. Still others looked completely normal, but possessed minds that could calculate faster than light navigation routes while composing poetry about the beauty of space. Above them, ships from 1,000 worlds came and went freely. Some were living vessels grown from enhanced biology. Others were constructs of pure energy that existed in 11 dimensions simultaneously. A few were traditional metal ships piloted by beings who had chosen to remain in their original forms, finding strength and beauty in the paths their ancestors had walked. Vasquez activated her recording device one last time. Personal log, Dr. Elena Vasquez, day 145 hours 847 of the Great Journey. Today I watched a human child and a Zephyrian child play together in Earth's ocean. The human child could breathe water as easily as air. The Zephyrian child had learned to phase between dimensions, but when they laughed together they sounded exactly like children from any species in any time. She paused, watching a group of teenagers from different worlds work together to build a sculpture that existed in 7 dimensions at once. Their creation was beautiful in ways that no single species could have imagined alone. We came back to Earth too strong to stop, Vasquez continued. But our real strength was never our weapons or our enhancements. It was our willingness to share our power instead of hoarding it. We could have become galactic conquerors, but instead we chose to become galactic gardeners, helping other species grow into whatever they wanted to become. A ship landed nearby, its biometal hull covered in patterns that shifted between colors that had no names. The beings that emerged were impossible to classify. They had started as 3 different species and had chosen to merge into something entirely new while keeping the best parts of their original natures. The galaxy is becoming something that no one could have predicted, Vasquez said. Every day new forms of life and consciousness emerge. Every day someone discovers a new way to exist, to grow, to become more than they were before. The age of enforced limitations is over. The age of chosen transcendence has begun. She looked up at the stars, visible even in Earth's daylight thanks to atmospheric enhancements that let people see across multiple spectrums simultaneously. Each point of light represented worlds where beings had chosen their own evolutionary paths, creating a diversity of life and consciousness that spanned the entire galaxy. Humanity returned to Earth and changed everything, Vasquez concluded. But the most important change wasn't in our technology or our power. It was in our understanding that true strength comes from lifting others up, not holding them down. We didn't just come home. We helped the entire galaxy become home for everyone,